I'm back.
Tenemos más en pantalla, 16:09 de detrás de cámaras de El día después de mañana, una película que pues retrata las consecuencias que pagaría la humanidad al maltrato del planeta con todos los excesos y que está generando este calentamiento global y que debido a este cambio climático considerablemente habría repercusiones que la naturaleza pues reflejaría de esta forma. El deshiele de los polos, los mares huirían de, pues ahora sí que de capacidad, rebasarían las ciudades, tornados, huracanes, terremotos, en fin, el planeta se cobraría prácticamente todo lo que la humanidad ha hecho de forma pues inconsciente y tal vez conscientemente también de mala manera. Así que vamos a seguir con este especial del director, de esa película que dirigió el director Roland Emmerich, que tiene en su haber también películas como les decía, El Día de la Independencia de 1996, Godzilla del 98 y del 2000, El Patriota con Mel Gibson, y que también ahí se descubriera parte ya del talento dramático del fallecido Heath Ledger. Así que los dejamos con El Ojo de la Tormenta, la filmación del Día después de mañana.
Listen up, everybody. Listen up, please. We've got a lot of work to do, and we don't have much time, so let's get started, please.
No,
Headland.
no, we're not dropping a day. No, we're not adding a day.
No, you're not adding a day?
Headland, no.
Headland, NASA. This is like really tight. Yeah. You know that. Do you know how many Headland seats we have? And we have 3 days for it.
How many pages do we have?
Roland is the most collaborative director that I've ever worked with. He has a very strong vision. He has a very clear idea of what he wants to do, but he also listens and is a great partner. All during the course of the film, we were whispering in each other's ear and talking about how could we make this better, and my making suggestions and him asking me questions, and both of us sort of challenging each other to make sure that we got the best scene, the best shot, the best performance that we could.
I loved working with Mark Gordon because he's really into doing the best for the movie. Everything is like kind of the movie. If it's good for the movie, you got him. And he kind of has a very good understanding what makes a good movie.
I think that we're on the verge of a major climate shift. Okay, you just wait.
There are a lot of line stumbling in this.
All right, we'll do another one. I didn't stumble that time.
No.
I didn't stumble that time.
Some other people.
Well, I had my day. I had my day of stumbling.
Roland always starts with the word on the page, but he always has a strong vision of what he wants it to be. My relationship with him is trying to flush out that vision and try and draw it from an illustrating standpoint and try and get those key frames to get the feeling, which also becomes the feeling that then gets distributed to the other people on the movie so they know what he's thinking about for each scene, and then make them three-dimensional. We got to make it visually interesting, but at the same time, let's not push it so far that it starts to become like unreal, so it couldn't happen. And I think that that's what we always tried to do. We always made you feel like, whether you were at NOAA or whether, all of these different establishments, we wanted the sense of clutter and chaos and government, but it shouldn't feel overdone. So it shouldn't feel like fantastical, like, wow, because they don't have the latest technology. They're still guys on rotary phones.
It would explain what's driving this extreme weather.
Well, we found this abandoned military building, and it's pretty much like a shot Headland there, all the NOAA stuff, and the American embassy in Mexico at the end of the movie, all in this one building, and it was good because for 3 weeks we were in one place. In movies, the more you move, the more time you lose. So it's very, very good when you find one location where you can do several things.
Good evening, sir.
Hey, Hugh. Thanks, Victor. I'll see you in the morning. Right, sir.
Terrible weather. Tell me about it.
it was an unbelievable opportunity for me to be able to be on set almost the entire shoot, watching Roland work, helping him work, contributing whatever I could to the ideas and to the screenplay, but also just being there to sort of learn. It's like the best master class any young filmmaker could ever ask for.
I'm used to this, I always did it with Dean like that, and because there was like kind of no Dean Devlin around, I need that. First of all, I'm German, so I feel still a little bit not so sure about my English capabilities. Also, there's constantly like something on the set what you want to change. I'm very kind of intuitive about that. And it really happened midway through the shooting. I all of a sudden wanted to radically change something.
One of the things that I learned from Roland on this picture is that he's fearless. And if something wasn't right, he was willing to say, this isn't right, we have to fix it.
All of a sudden it hit me in all these like kind of drafts, what we did, we forgot to kind of build up momentum in New York. And I felt, that these kids were leisurely, like kind of in a museum, while the world, around them, like kind of goes down. And then, like kind of surprisingly, walk out of the museum, and all of a sudden, the streets are underwater. And it was like kind of not really convincing to me.
He came to me one day and he says, I think we have a big mistake in the middle of the movie. Now we're halfway through the picture. We've already shot certain things that I could see he was thinking, well, maybe these things should go and maybe we should write something else. And we literally, in the middle of production, tore out, I don't know how many pages of the script, put them in the fireplace, threw out things that we had already shot.
Roland started saying, I think that we need to build the momentum of the disaster in New York more gradually. And he and I started brainstorming ideas, and the idea we came up with was, well, let's say the school plumbing gets flooded and then they have to go to JD's apartment in order to take shelter, and then they try and leave there, and then things happen that way. Well, this was a huge change. I mean, we're talking about 50, 60 pages of rewriting in the movie, and everybody was kind of freaked out about it.
I'll be honest with you, it scared the hell out of me. Because as the producer, part of my responsibility is to make sure that we're on schedule and on budget, and that happens sometimes, and sometimes you go over, and sometimes you're under, but it's part of my job. The most important part of my job is to make a great movie, because in the end, you'll be forgiven everything if you make a great movie and the movie's successful and people make money and they like the film, and if the movie doesn't work, then you're not forgiven so easily.
The water's stinging my eyes.
I'll get a call from Roland's assistant, Aaron. Roland wants to talk to you, and he'll look at me and he'll smile and he'll laugh a little bit. And he's like, yeah, we need his apartment. But not only do we need his apartment, we also need an exterior to his apartment in New York.
Barry Chusa, the production designer, did a phenomenal job of creating sets really quickly. I mean, we wrote this whole scene for JD's apartment. There was no JD's apartment. It was sort of like, well, Barry, can you get us an apartment next week?
We ended up building Central Park, the street, and an apartment building just off the park with a foyer, doorman, elevators, and then JD's apartment.
It was not that bad. I mean, it's like everybody else was like all upset about it. And I said, why guys, why are you upset? It's like kind of, luckily I caught it, and it will make the movie better. And I think it did. It's like sometimes strange when you like look back, if I would have not done that, we probably would have reshot it. The storm tide sequence, was like kind of our biggest headache besides the snow.
That was a great set. It was just a lot of fun. And it was also just a great coordination between all departments.
I've never worked on a film this big before. I mean, we've recreated floods inside a soundstage. It's amazing.
If you're gonna do a big budget disaster film, this is the type of film to be a part of. I mean, Roland is a genius, so films like this, he's the guy to go to.
And they had like this big bus and about 50 taxi cabs and, you know, all these cars like under 5 feet of water. I was like, man, they created outside indoors.
Open the window, let me out of here, where are you going, that type of thing, and let her actually...
Like, where are you going?
When he gets out, where are you going? Don't leave us in here.
We had like a huge problem. We had to kind of shoot constantly exterior, interior, which is always the hardest thing to pull off, you know? And we discussed this a lot. And like Uli kind of said, look, there's one solution to that. We have to build the biggest lighting rig ever.
I mean, I just had the idea, let's somehow mirror what we have in real life, you know, which is like a sky. So I said, like, you know, let's build a softbox. But I wanted it to be cool light, so half blue. And it had to be really big, because it was a big stage, more than 30,000 square feet.
And everybody said, is this really possible? And naturally the line producers, you know, like kind of were a little bit I mean, they're freaking out.
We actually built our fixtures ourselves. It was very simple fixtures. It's just 2,000 watt bulbs, but many of them with their little reflectors. And then they're diffused by this silk, by this blue silk. We ended up having like 4 gigawatts of light. I mean, that's an amount of electricity which I can hardly fathom. You can light quite a town with.
It was like probably 20 or 30% more lighting package, you know, but it saved us like kind of 4, 5, or 6 shooting days, and it looked really good. So it was the only way to do this.
Okay, all right, take it easy now. Okay, now calm down, we'll get you out of there. Okay, hands off back away from the window.
It's always like kind of very, very tough to build a tank. So what we did, you know, we like kind of found this like huge abandoned train depot. And Neil Corbell, you know, built this incredible tank.
We basically built a 3'6" high tank all the way around the set, from basically road barriers, which we just joined together, reinforced. And then inside that, we basically laid a membrane to seal it so it wouldn't leak water. We also heated it as well. We heated it and filtered it as well, so to make sure that nobody got sick.
It was really, really complicated. And then on top of this, you know, like kind of the water level constantly had to rise, you know, which is also like kind of a logistic nightmare.
We installed a complicated pumping system, because there were some days that it had to be 6 inches, and another time it had to be 2 feet and then 3 feet. So we had these pumps that could pump in excess of 5,000 gallons a minute. You know, they say before lunch, right, we want it down to 6 inches, and we could start the pumps up and come back from lunch, and it was done.
Stay here. I'll be back.